How's it going, folks? This is Mike, enjoying a rum and coke. It's a little early to be drinking, but I'm drinking. Anyway, how's everyone doing? I have a question, sort of a little topic I'd like to bring up, maybe as a point of discussion. I'd like to get some feedback from people if anybody would be interested. And it involves something that happened in one of my film classes this week. As a lot of my YouTube friends know, I take these non-credit film courses. I've been doing it for about the past year and a half. And one of the classes I'm taking this semester is called The Early Films of Alfred Hitchcock, and it involves a lot of his work that he did in the 1930s before he came to Hollywood, all the work that he did in England. And this week, we saw The Lady Vanishes, okay, from 1938. Great, great movie. And I know a lot of my friends on YouTube have seen this, so you know the plot and all that sort of thing. Okay, so there are about maybe 40 to 45 people in the class. I'm not completely sure, but it's a pretty good group. And of course, everybody's over 50. So, I mean, I'm 65, so a lot of the people are older than me. So it's a mature class, or quote unquote. Oh, this is really getting to me. It's a mature group, right? So, in other words, we're all old. And, okay, so the first part of The Lady Vanishes is very lighthearted and very funny. Terrific humorous dialogue. And then, of course, as the film progresses, it becomes a mystery, and then it becomes very dark and rather violent toward the end. Now, the first indication that there is any kind of a mystery going on comes close to the beginning of the film, when a man is very suddenly and unexpectedly murdered. There's a man who's standing next to a white wall, and he's playing an instrument and he's singing. And all of a sudden you see the silhouette of two hands against the wall, and then you see the hands themselves suddenly reach out and grab the guy by his neck and choke him. Very dramatic moment. That's the first step into the Hitchcock world of mystery, okay? So when this happened, I would say 90% of the people in the class started laughing, as if it was part of the comedy that had been going on. And I didn't laugh, and the friend that I was sitting next to that I take the class with, I turned around and looked at him, and he wasn't laughing either. And we both looked at each other like, that wasn't funny. So anyway, and I noticed the same thing as the film went on, and especially toward the end, when there are a couple of people who are shot, a couple of people who are killed, and every time something like that would happen, people were laughing, just like it was Abbott and Costello or something, or some slapstick thing from the 1920s, and I really couldn't understand it. Now, this has happened before in other classes. In some of the other classes we've seen, occasionally someone will show a horror film. For example, we saw the original Cat People, that wonderful movie from 1942, I believe, directed by Val Lewton. Beautiful, beautiful film. And a lot of people were laughing at many of the horrific things that were going on in this film, and I've seen it in other films as well. I've never questioned it to anybody in the class or questioned the instructor, but this time I can't remember now exactly. Somebody was talking about how funny the gesture of the hands against the wall. They thought that was just such a very hokey, sort of a cliche thing to do in old movies. And the instructor was sort of agreeing with that person. And I raised my hand and I said, do you think that Hitchcock meant that to be funny? Was he trying to make that into a comical moment? And she said, no. I said, well, then I don't understand the laughter. I don't understand what's funny about it. It wasn't funny to me. And her response, and I can't quote it exactly, I wish now I had written it down, but the gist of what she said in response was that because these films are old, and because they are dated, I mean, of course they are, then most people, meaning everybody in the universe except for my friend and me, obviously, we laugh at the way things used to be done in these old movies, that they are exaggerated and they are sort of over dramatic, I guess. And I let it go. I decided that okay, I accept what you're saying, and I don't agree, but I'm not going to make it a major issue. But as I thought about it, and my friend and I went out to eat afterward, and we were talking about it, and I said I disagree with that approach. not just from the person who's instructing the class, but from the people who are watching these films, knowing that they're old and knowing that they have a certain sensibility and a certain way of promoting the story and making visualizing the drama. Okay, it's different now in this day and age than it was in 1938 when The Lady Vanishes was made. And I feel that if we are going to watch these films, whether it's in a classroom setting or not, we should bring a certain kind of sensibility to approaching these films. We should approach them with a certain kind of reverence. I think that we should appreciate what the filmmakers are trying to show us and not just see everything as being outdated and hokey and, God, that's really funny. I mean, I know people who laugh at the old horror movies from the 1930s. They think that Frankenstein and Dracula, they don't think that they're to be taken seriously because they aren't scary for most people, and they just, the movements of the monsters and all that sort of thing, and the way people react in horror, it seems funny to a lot of people. I simply don't agree. I think that, especially with a director like Alfred Hitchcock, I mean, almost everybody in the universe acknowledges that he is a great director, somebody who is to be respected and studied. So why don't we approach his old movies with that kind of reverence? I really don't. I don't agree. And I have a feeling that I probably won't be able to keep my mouth shut if, when I go back to classes and people start laughing at things that are very dramatic. And I don't know. So I would just like to bring that up as a topic for discussion. I would love to hear what anybody else thinks about that. Am I overanalyzing? Am I making too much of it? Or do you agree with me that we should approach these old movies with that kind of reverence and sort of start from there, I guess? And I don't know. I don't think that just because something is old that it's automatically so dated that it can only be laughed at. I don't feel that way. Now, I can tell the difference between a movie that is badly written or well written. If the dialogue is funny, if it's not well written, and they're trying to make a dramatic point, and maybe the actor is not very good, then okay, you can think, God, that was really done badly, and maybe you would laugh. But that certainly isn't the case in something like The Lady Vanishes. That is not the case in something like Cat People, in my opinion. So that's the point I wanted to bring up. A little bit of a rant there, and just just reflecting my appreciation for old films. And so I guess when I go back to these classes, I mean, it's not going to spoil my enjoyment of the classes and hearing what other people think, what they have to say. I love these classes. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. But I just will have to tune it out. It's the same as being in a theater and being distracted because people are talking or doing something with their phones. This is something else I'll just have to tune out because I guess not everybody's going to agree on everything. So anyway, that's why I'm drinking. I'm drinking because I like it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and leave your comments.